All right, guys, what I'm going to do today is I'm going to show you, I'm going to go through the process of seeding your tournaments this season, since everybody's kind of going to do that on their own, and the region won't be sending that out to you guys each week. So I'm going to go step by step with you guys. If you still have questions about anything after I'm done, again, feel free to email me or call me when you're doing your event. We're not going to leave you on an island by yourself this year, but we do want everybody to kind of go through this process to seed their events. So what we're going to do first is, based on how many teams that you guys have registered for your events in AES, you're going to go through and you're going to find the format that you need, which is on our website. So if you go under the Directors and Coaches tab, and then under Tournament Directors, and then Tournament Resources is where you're going to find the different formats. Now, if you're starting with your event in January, I'm pretty sure the majority of you guys have selected the snake-seeded format. This is a good format option to choose if you have under 16 teams and it's in the beginning of the season, which is typically January, just because people haven't played yet. If you power seed your events, teams do get stuck based on where you seed them, so the seeding has to be pretty accurate, which is why we typically don't seed them in a power formatted tournament until maybe January. Obviously, Power League is seeded that way. We have the qualifier tournament, and then moving on, we power seed it because we have those results. So most of you probably are going to be using the snake seeded format in January or power seeded. So either one, you're going to click on those and it's going to take you to a page that has a listing for all the different numbers that you guys potentially would have. If you have more than 32 teams, which I don't think anybody does except for like Inc., and I know he has his own formats for those, you'll go through there. If you need the power seeded ones, as you can see, we start at 16 teams and we go up to 32. So you're going to go ahead and click on the power seeded, or the traditional seeded, sorry, and then you're going to select the number of teams that you need. Now you can see that there's some of them, 24 teams, it has multiple options. So you can see listed next to it, it says 6 pools of 4, and this has 3 brackets instead of the 2 that are down here. So if you have a format where there's multiple options listed, just choose the one that's going to work best for you. So we're going to go over here, and I'm going to pull a report for the event that we're going to seed as an example. So I'm going to do the winter warm-up U14. And as you can see, I already have a report in here. But if you needed a report, you're going to go to the Add Report button. I usually just put team list in there so I know what one it is. You would go to the winter warm-up. And then the report type is going to be the custom team. Now, this is the same report that you pull that I have the other step-by-step for. You're going to select the divisions you want, which you're going to want to select all of them. You're going to want to select that they're accepted. And then what you need for this report is you need the team code, and then you need the team name. Okay? And then you'd go ahead and click Update. And then you're going to see that it's going to populate right there. So I'm going to go ahead and click View on that. And then I'm going to open it. And I'm going to expand that. So this is going to be, these are all the teams that I have accepted into my event. Has their team name listed and the team code. Now, what I typically do is I just highlight it and then I sort it so that it puts it in alphabetical order by the team name. It just makes it a little bit easier when I'm seeding to find teams. And so you can see that without the header here, I have 18 teams in this event because I'll delete that one row. So I need to find a format for 18 teams. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. We're going to download that as well. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy and paste the teams into this, the overview down here for the seeding. So I need to go back to my team list, and I'm going to copy the team names here. And then now I need to do the same with the team code. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and copy this and then paste the team codes in. Okay. And then I'm a format Nazi, so I like everything to be centered. And then you're going to put your tournament name up here. So this is Winter Warm-Up U14, the date, and the location. You can put the location as the city and state. You can put it as, you know, if it's the high school you want listed, whatever. So as you can see, this is where you're going to change the seating on the teams. Right now, like I said, they're just in alphabetical order. So if you go ahead and click over on the pools, you're going to see that it has auto-populated the team name with the team codes into the different pools. And so this is just listed in alphabetical order. So you want to make sure that we're going to go back here and properly seed them. Now at the beginning of the season, it's a little bit more challenging just because people haven't played yet, obviously. Whoa, I don't want it at 400. Sorry, guys. But you do want to do your best to seed. And so a couple different processes for early in the season that I do. You can see some of these teams in the team code. This is their third team. So this is their third U14 team, whereas these are their first teams. This is their second team. So that's why the team codes are nice, because the team names don't always indicate what number of team it is within the club. So you can see Idaho Impact, I have their first team and I have their third team for their 14s. So when I go to seed, especially early in the season in January when people haven't played yet, just a good rule of thumb is you're going to want to put all the number 1 teams ahead of the 2s and the 3s. And so that helps you kind of sort it out a little bit easier just for visual purposes. I'm going to go through and I'm just going to pick all the 1s. And again, this isn't where I'm actually going to seed them, but it's going to help me sort them so that I have them all at the top. And then I'll go through and I will just seed the 1s appropriately. And then I'll go back through, I'll do the 2s, and then I'll do the 3s. And again, that might not end up being the case after they actually play. It might be different. You might have some 2s that finish ahead of 1s. But again, until they play, that's just like an easy rule of thumb. So in order to resort them, I'm going to go back up here. I'm going to go to data, sort, and then now we're going to sort by seed. And again, I'm just moving all the 1s to the top, and then I'm going to have my 2s and my 3s. So all I'm going to worry about right now is seeding these 1 teams. So again, it's because you look at their team code. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to our seeding guide from the end of last season, because again, nobody's played yet. So the best guess I'm going to have is I'm going to go to our seeding guide on our website. So you can go back to the tournament resources and you're going to click on seeding guide. And then these are the final standings from the end of last season. And I have it in an Excel format just because it's easier to do a find tool this way. So this is a U14 tournament. And you can see over here all the results are entered for it. Now these are just the club hosted events. These aren't the Power League events. So if you do want to access the Power League rankings, you're going to go ahead and open that as well. And then you're going to kind of have to flip back and forth where they are. So it's a little bit of a Sudoku puzzle early in the season to get them where you want them. But then this way you can just use the find and select tool to be able to do that. So as you can see, and what I do is I typically just put in where their rank is here, and then you can sort it by rank and then go from there. So we're going to go to the 14s ranking, and we're just going to look at where Apex ended up last year. And you can see they were 66. So I'm going to go back to this screen, and I'm going to just type in 66. Next will be the Bi-County Wolfpack. And they were 28th. That's their first team. So again, when you're looking, sometimes it might say Bi-County Wolfpack, but you do have to look at that team code to make sure that it's the number 1. And so now the other thing that you see here is even though this is the 1 team, it's a U13 team. So what I typically do is I typically rank the 14s ahead of that 13s team, just because, you know, in theory, they're younger, so they're probably not going to be quite as strong. And again, that's not always the case, but at the beginning of the season, when you're just kind of guessing on seeding, I'll do all the 14 1s first, and then I'll do 13s, and then I'll go through and do the 14 2s, 14 3s, and so on. So We're going to kind of leave them blank for right now just because we'll seed them after the 14. So we'll look for Club South 14 Gold. And again, in theory, these 14 teams probably were 12s last year, or they were a 13s team last year, but we're doing our best to just go off of, historically where the club has been with their teams from year to year. It's not an exact science. It is kind of a guessing game. If you want to take more time and look at the 12s rankings compared to where they were at the 14s rankings, that's totally fine. You can spend as much time doing this as you want, but like I said, it's not a perfect science. The best thing to do is you just want to be spreading out the teams the best you can in the beginning of the season and then let them kind of play it out based on that. So, let's see, Idaho Impact. This is their first, so they were 30th. And again, this is going to be a bigger tournament, so it's going to take me a little while. Another option that you guys can do, so this team didn't play last year in the 14s, which is fine. So you're just going to leave them blank. So you're going to move on to the next one, which is Rivals. And so another thing that you can do, especially at the beginning of the season, if you want, is you can send out a survey to the clubs prior to your event, just saying, hey, where do you think, you guys would rank? So I usually do that for the Power League qualifier just because, there's so many teams and nobody's played yet. And so I'll ask the clubs to kind of rank their teams, top 25, second 25, third 25, and so on. And then that kind of helps me place them into the tournament initially. And they usually know where their teams are going to rank better than I will. So that, that tends to make it a little bit easier for me. So if you want to send a survey, I usually use SurveyMonkey. There's other survey, online survey things that are free that you can send out. And then that way all your results are just in one location instead of having people just email you where they think they're going to be. That's a helpful tool because the clubs then, feel like they contributed to the seeding. So then it kind of reduces the amount of, if people think that they were misseeded or, how you came up with the seeding. That does help, especially at the beginning of the season. Because again, we're using, rankings from last season, and that's not going to be the same group of kiddos, but you're kind of just going based off, kind of where they were and trying to spread them out, the best you can kind of thing. So we're going to go ahead and go through here and rank these ones. So Rivals was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'll probably do the boys as 9, and then I do the 13s as 10 before I move on to the 2s and the 3s. So then I'd go ahead and just resort that. And so you can see that they'd move them to that way. The reason I put MVA here is just, I know typically their first team for their 14s is pretty strong when they come to regionals or when they do compete, compared to, some of where these kind of teams have lied year to year. So I kind of just put them in the middle of the pack. Again, they could end up 4th in that pool, and you just kind of never know. So the next one we're going to move on to is the 2s. So you can see that the 2s are down here. And again, this one's just kind of hit or miss. It doesn't really matter where they are just because they're the 2s, and you kind of, again, just never really know. So you can go back through and look at the 2s where they would be on the ranking from last season, or you can kind of just do what I'm doing. And as you can see, this is Side Out's second 13s team. So I'm going to put the 14-2 teams ahead of them first. And then I will do their 13-2 team. So that would be 14. And then I still may have to adjust this just based on if there's multiple teams from the same club in a pool. So I'm going to go ahead and just sort this. And then I'm going to go down here to look at my pools. And I'm going to see, this way I can kind of tell where they are. So I'm going to look through the pools. I have Rivals, I have a Club South, I have a Bag County, and I have a Sela. So we don't have any of the same club in that pool. So over here we're same South, Side Out, Panorama, Mountainside. Going through and just making sure. Idaho Impact. So it looks like everybody kind of spread out. Now there is multiple teams from the same club in this tournament. There's 2 Bi-Counties. There's 2 Idaho Impacts. There's a couple Club Souths. So you want to go ahead and go through this part of it after you seed it just to make sure. Now, you know, if Idaho Impacts were in the same pool, I would need to go back over here, take a look at where the seeds are and what pool. So let's say that they were a 4 and a 7. I would want to switch the 7 probably with the 8, just so that they'd be in different pools. So I'd go back over here, switch the 7 and 8, do my resort, and then go back over down here to the pool sheets and make sure that that moved properly so that they aren't in the same pool together. So that's just one of the best practices after you seed, is to just go back through your pool view to make sure that you don't have teams from the same club in the same pool. Now, sometimes that's unavoidable. Sometimes you might only have 3 or 4 pools, but you have 5 teams from the same club or something like that. You just do your best to sort them out. I typically have, you know, like if they have a 5 team, you know, a 14-5 team, I usually try to put them in with the 14-1 or the 14-2. So there's a little bit of, you know, spread out variable between, you know, the 2 teams, as I don't want to really put the 14-4 and the 14-5 team in the same pool together. So you can also see that the pool sheets populate as well, and you can print these. Now, the trick for printing these things, if you're not super computer savvy, is you're going to highlight the area. You go to page layout and set print area. And then when you go to the print option, you just want to make sure it all fits on one page. So you go to print, and then mine says scale to print. The one on my work computer says, you know, fit to page. So it kind of depends on what your computer does, but you want to do the scale to fit or fit everything onto one page option so that everything fits, and then you can just print it off just like that. Now, when you're making your tournament packets to send out to everybody, I, again, tend to do a little bit different than probably some people do. If you go to our website, there is an example on the tournament resources page of what a tournament packet I put together looks like. So again, this is an old regionals packet from a couple years ago. I just have the title of the event, where they're playing, the date, the start time, where the coaches meeting is, a little bit of an explanation of the format. You don't have to do that if you don't want. What prizes will be given to what, you know, in first place, second place, consolation. And then any general information about your facility that you need them to know. If they need to use a specific parking lot, you know, access the school and specific doors, just let them know that so that they're aware. If you have any vendors, anything like that, it's good to list that there so they know, you know, if they need to bring cash, if they take credit cards, anything like that. And then you can see here the pools. Now, what I've done here in order to get this to look this way is I make everything in Word to begin with. So let's, sorry, that's an old, it's a high performance meeting. So if I just open a Word document, what I do when I'm on, let me find my, here we go. And again, on this, I usually put like court 1, you know, pool A, court 1. So they kind of know where they're going based on, or you can type, you know, the name of the school if you have different schools, court 1. And then, you know, once you get down to D, this is going to be at Central Valley or CV, whatever you want to write, court 1, so people kind of know where they're going. Go ahead and do that. And then again, what I do here, and then I go to view first and take those grid lines out because those are ugly. So I copy, and then I'll go back to my Word document, and then I end up pasting as a picture. And again, my view looks a little bit different than probably yours does if you're just like on a regular computer. But I paste it as a picture because it's easier for me to manipulate it within the document. So I just make sure that there's, I put it in line with whatever. And then I can move it wherever I want. I can make it bigger so people can see. And I do the same thing with the brackets. And then again, that way it's in your tournament packet. And then again, we're going to take our grid lines out. So again, you just highlight and then you can copy. Command C or Control C using my keypad here. And then I usually just put them on separate pages because I have more information. So here, if I want to put my brackets, mine's paste special, but just do it as a picture. I think if you're on like a laptop, it's just going to show the little icon that looks like a picture instead of mine says like PNG or whatever. And again, you can do this and it just makes it a little bit easier to manipulate within a document and print versus, trying to do something with Excel. It gets a little sticky. And then you also usually just want to put in the play schedule. And I usually put that with where my pool sheets are so that everybody can just see, what the playing schedule is going to be based on that. And so then I have this on the same page. And again, if I want to manipulate that so it looks a little bit prettier for me, which I'm a weirdo and I like things to be like neat and pretty. I'll just move it around and place it so that everything's in one place. And then, this will be at the top. Then you have your pool and play schedule, and then you have your brackets that kind of go through. And then that way it's a nice easy packet. And then when you're done with that, you can just save it as a PDF, and then that's what you can attach and send out to everybody. And then that just makes it a little bit easier for you guys, and then for them, they can print it, they can bring it, they can send it to their parents and all that other good stuff. So that is most of the seating information. Again, you can print all this stuff out in here. This is where you'll want to keep track of the results. There is also an option on our homepage for, I believe it's on here still, the programmed pool sheets. That will track the point differential, the set percentage, and all that for you. So if you want to do that, you would just open that, and then you're going to have to set that up separately. So you would have to type in the team names for each pool, and then it will automatically calculate it if you put the matches and then sets, wins, and then the points and all that stuff in here. It'll calculate that automatically for you, so you don't have to do the tiebreaker if it comes down to that, but it is something that you would have to separately do. It's not in the document that we kind of give you for the format. And so after the tournament's over, you're going to want to submit your results in here. So this is down on the results tab. And again, the finish is already done for you. Now, one thing that gets people a little bit confused is if you look at a bracket, obviously your winner's 1, whoever lost is 2. Now, the 2 teams that lost here are both tied for 3rd. And then you would technically go 3-4. And then these 2 teams that lost are tied for 5th. And then 5-6. And then these are all tied for 7th. Tied for 5th. So you're going to want to go through that. This is already in there for you, so you don't need to figure out the finishes. All you need to do is look at your bracket and see where they ended up finishing. So your 1s and 2s, and then again, you're going to go over here, copy and paste the team name and the team code into your results for the 1 team, and then the 2 team, and then where they were for 3rd place, and then so on, okay? And then once you get over here, consolation winner is, 9th place, 10th place, and then so on. So you don't need to manipulate any of this. And then the easiest way for you to do it is honestly just copy and paste these over, because I do need these team codes again to be accurate in the results, because that's what I use to enter them into the seating guide for everybody. So please make sure that that's accurate. And then again, once you're done, if you just want to highlight this, and then you can do the set print area, and then you can save it as a PDF. I usually go to print, you can go to save as, it's whatever is easiest for you. My computer is easier this way because I can go to save as a PDF, and then it'll just save this selection as a PDF, and then just send that to me. If you are having trouble doing that, you can just send me this whole workbook back. That's fine, and I can get the results off of there. But I do need the results entered. Those need to be turned in on the Monday after your event by no later than midnight. So make sure that you get those to me so that I can have the seating guide updated for people for the next week's tournament. Now, the seating guide will be updated for you guys, and it'll be included for this year after each club-hosted tournament. So there will be 2020 results. And then again, I would just go back and forth, especially if your event is in January, go back and forth between last year's standings, people that have played already. But it tends to be a mix of still, is this a number 1 ranked team? Is this a number 2 ranked team? If the number 2 and 3 ranked team has played already, but you have number 1 teams that haven't played already, you're still probably going to want to seed those ahead of the other ones unless they've actually played in an event together where they have finished ahead of the other one. It's not a perfect science. Don't get stressed out about it. Again, if you want some input from your teams that are playing in your tournament, feel free to make a survey and send that out to them so that you can get a little bit of feedback for them before you seed your tournament. I encourage that just because, again, it tends to make it a little bit easier on you, and the clubs usually know their teams and where they'll rank. Everybody's pretty good and pretty honest about where they should be. I've never had anybody, say their 2 or 3 team should be in the top portion of the tournament or of the, Power League qualifier. So that's a really good option for you guys. If you are lost, if you're stressed out, please don't feel like we're just leaving you on an island by yourself. We're here to still help you. So please just reach out to me. You can call me still. This just frees me up to do a lot of other things besides, seeding 10 tournaments a week, plus our own events that we're hosting. So you guys have the knowledge and the ability to do all this on your own. But again, we're not going to leave you on an island, especially this season, which is the first season for everybody. So we're still here for you. We're still a resource. Don't hesitate to call us or email us, and we can kind of walk through for your first one. And then from there, you guys will probably be experts. So thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you guys soon if you need anything. Thanks.